Hello and welcome. I am the handsome King Nerdy Bear. There can only be one. Remember. And now we have Chapter 75, The Domain of the Gods of Boruto, Naruto, Next Generations. So we see this cover, we see Damon in a really interesting looking sweater there, but yet he's wearing some shorts. Okay, alright, I know a lot of people that do that, even here in the United States. Anyway, we switch over to Eida, and then it looks like this is a voiceover from, I'm guessing, Amado, and it said, Eida enchants all, regardless of gender. Only blood relatives and Ōtsutsuki aren't affected, meaning it doesn't work on Boruto, Kawaki, and her little brother Damon. Plus, her left eye Senrigan allows her to peek in on all things happening across the world. She can also hear conversations as if she were actually there. It also lets her browse past events, though she can't see anything that took place prior to her birth. So, for now, she can only go back 16 years. Oh man, all of you are in trouble. Freaking thirsting for a 16-year-old girl? What is wrong with you perverts? Although some states, late age of consent is, well, never mind, cut that out. Anyway, as for her brother Damon, he reflects all attacks. Any action that would inflict harm on him, and though it's necessary for his hand to be touching another person, his ability will also transfer to the person currently touching him. And then we cut to Shikamaru and Naruto. Shikamaru says, "That's everything in a nutshell." And then Naruto says, "What a crazy list of abilities. Makes my head hurt. It makes my head hurts." I think that was a typo, but whatever. And so we switch to Amado. Damon is an irritating, pesky brat, but just be careful not to aim murderous intent toward him no matter what, because that will be reflected. It depends on certain conditions, but it will all rebound back to you. And so Boruto says, "What? Okay, now you've lost me." And so Damon's just smirking and says, "Wanna test it?" And then Boruto replies with, nah, no thanks." And then Kawaki is just glaring. Just not saying anything, just glaring. The Kawaki glare. I'm gonna call it the Kawaki glare. Kawaki glare, yeah. Staring at you. Anyway. So it looks like Kawaki, looks like his head gets hit by something. And it just, he almost wants to fall. And then Boruto is just in shock. What? And then Kawaki, he has this expression. Looks like it's legit, Boruto, as you just saw. And then Boruto just comments, "You really imagine clobbering him?" And then Damien is all, "Hoot hoot, is something wrong with your head? That ain't normal." Yeah, what a pesky brat. Anyway, Eida is just looking. I swear, her hairstyle reminds me of Lady Gaga when she first started singing. She has that one music video with Lady Gaga, I remember, but it was like a very addictive song, and there was like music videos all over YouTube back in the day. But anyway. We switch to Naruto. I've been wondering, Amado, how the heck did you develop so many unbelievable abilities? Amado, of course, has a cigarette, takes a puff, and then on his first exhale, he says, "Develop wouldn't be accurate. I am a mere human, not a god. The crafting of abilities is a feat permitted only to gods. What I did is simply transplant things that already existed." Oh, this is getting juicy. Next page here. And by the way, we are on page 7. And so Shikamaru has to ask, transplant? explain that. And of course, Amado takes his puff of his cigarette. I swear he smokes a lot. Cancer much? Anyway, Amado says, yeah, their abilities were brought about by a god. Someone who actually evolved into godlike beings. Ōtsutsuki Shibuya. And so Boruto has his reaction, so does Naruto, and then Naruto says Ōtsutsuki, and then Shikamaru says Shibuya. Not sure how that's how you pronounce it. I'm going to say Shibuya until I'm corrected. And so Kawaki has his own reply, Ōtsutsuki. Then Shikamaru asks, who is this Ōtsutsuki Shibuya? Where are they? And then Amado says, don't worry, he is no longer with us. All that exists are his remains. And then Boruto says, his remains? And then, oh man, this might explain a few things I had questions about like 6 months back. So we see in this panel, Amado continues this voiceover. We see in Ōtsutsuki, looks like he's way different than what you've seen before. Amado says, do you remember what I told you? About how the chakra fruit forms from absorbing all life on a planet, a mass of colossal energy and genetic information? And that Ōtsutsuki are a species that evolves through devouring those fruits. So we switch this panel. By repeatedly undergoing karmic resurrection, Shibuya cheated death, devoured many fruit over several millennia, and eventually the cumulative evolution led to godhood. Not sure if I can get a soundbite on that, but anyway. So we have Boruto, he says, godhood, huh? Kawaki just has a different kind of glare. He's just listening intently. And so Naruto says, setting aside possible godhood, let's go back to the original topic. You're saying that these various cheat-like powers of Eida and Daemon are originally abilities that Shiba fellow possessed? Amado replies, that's right. Transplanting DNA harvested from Shiba's remains results in endowing of one or more of his abilities. And then we have Shikamaru that says, are you there, Kakatsuki? Is what he's saying technologically possible? And then Kakatsuki says, yes, I have been listening. It's just transplanting a person's ability onto someone else, even using scientific ninja tools, would be difficult with current human technology. I happen to agree. Yeah, I can see that logic there. And so we flip the page here at page 11. Kakatsuki continues. He says, however, having now witnessed numerous tech beyond human intellect, like at a airship's crash site and in young Kawaki's body, I cannot say with all certainty that it is impossible. And then Amado just replies, that's low Shikamaru. Do you think I'd make things up at this point? And then Shikamaru says, don't pay my cautious nature any mind, to be blunt. I just can't get myself to trust you. And then Naruto says, now, go on, Amado. So Amado continues, takes another puff of his cigarette, exhales, and says, Shiba's various abilities were quite incredible, it's said, without needing to weave signs as with ninjutsu. He generated storms with a wave of his hand and called forth thunderbolts with just an angry roar. So he's like Thor or something? Okay. So given the name Shinjitsu, such godlike abilities were neither ninjutsu nor sage arts. They were phenomena equivalent to divine miracles. Okay, so we got a new type of jitsu called Shinjitsu. Shinjitsu. So that's Naruto's reaction. Shinjitsu? And then Boruto is just listening, and then, of course, Eida has her really creepy Lady Gaga eyes. So, continuing on to Amado, takes another puff of his damn cigarette. In addition to Eida and Damon's abilities, Code's claw marks are also Shinjitsu, as are the Senkuna Hokona and the Daito Kenten that Kawaki inherited from Ishiki. Oh man, so that's a whole new category of jitsu called Shin Jitsu. Okay, so we continue with the motto and the mortality art that enables resurrection, karma. So karma is considered Shinjitsu. Okay, cool. All right, so continuing on to Kawaki, of course, he's just listening intently, and then in fact, Amado says this, in fact, ninjutsu itself fundamentally attempts to reproduce phenomenon similar to shinjitsu through weaving signs and concentrating one chakra. And then looks like there's a voiceover. With all due respect, are you saying our ninjutsu are nothing more than pale imitations of shinjitsu? That's what I want to know too. So it's like, is shinjitsu like the original that started it all? Let's turn the page to chapter 14. So then Boruto says, Sarada. And then Amado says, did I offend you? I am simply stating a fact. And so Shikamaru says, putting aside the necessity of that, I think I do know pretty well that the Ōtsutsuki technological capabilities far exceed our own. And then Shikamaru explains or says further that, and I've got a question. With karmic resurrection, he ought to live forever. So why is he a corpse? Or did someone kill Shibuya? And then Amado says, I don't know what really happened. It's certainly possible that he was killed, but after many cycles of evolution, he ascended to a higher dimension where a physical body isn't required. And Amado continues, if no body is needed, neither are resurrection or vessels. It's a hypothesis that Shiba deliberately discarded his body. And so Shikamaru says, I see. On the one hand, it sounds like crazy talk, but if a god is meant to be a flawless building, then that theory does have some merit. And then Naruto, he has like this expression, huh, right? The old Naruto just explaining big concepts and it just hurts his brain. Guess he never changes. So then with Boruto, he says, hey, what are we talking about? And so Amado says, apologies, I got sidetracked. What I am trying to say is that Ōtsutsuki powers contain hope to make what is impossible to us possible, such as bringing my daughter back to life. And of course, I missed a panel where Kawaki's just listening intently. And so we get to know more. All right, so on page 16, we switch back to Sarada, and she asks, bring his daughter back to life? Oh man, okay, this might finally confirm some theories here for the past 6 to 12 months, maybe even longer. So we got Delta just strutting her stuff, just walking like she's a Victoria's Secret model with that cape, which I'll say it's kind of hot. But anyway, Sarada says, oh. And then Sarada says, Delta, you shouldn't be here. And then Delta, she looks like she's having a fangirl moment, and she says, I know, but I really wanted to see Eida. Don't tell Shikamaru, okay? And Sarada says, no way! Besides, the Sentry unit will detect you right away. And then Delta says, at least I didn't show up over there, Just let me look at her. And Sarada says, no, you're particularly suggestible. Come on, I'm gonna get in trouble. And then Delta just says, please, just a few minutes. I'll stay right here, please, pretty please. Like, man, she's really fangirling there. Anyway, we are at page 18 here. And then there's a voiceover command. Looks like it says, Delta, time to go to sleep. And then Delta just shuts down. She's on her knees. And okay, she is asleep. Okay, and then Zarda reacts, emergency shutdown code? And then, oh, okay, so it's the class rep here. She says, I'm so sorry. She just flew off. I haven't run like this in ages. And then Mitsuki says, poor class rep. And then class rep responds with, she's not supposed to be able to disobey either Dr. Kakatsuki or me. Her program needs to be checked. And so it looks like Mitsuki says, that's how strong Eida's charm is. I need to be careful too. So Sarda replies with, I guess her ability is a lot more fearsome than I thought. And then we cut over to just Delta just sleeping like the little girl she is, little fangirl. And so we're at page 20 here. So Eida is just has her Lady Gaga glare. Yeah, she's listening and seeing all. And so Shikamaru his turn to reply here. And he says, bring your dead daughter back to life? And then Naruto says, you did mention before that your daughter died 12 years ago. And then Boruto says, 12 years ago? That's around when I was born. And then Kawaki is just glaring. And then here is some really good information after waiting for so long. So we got a panel with Amado. He's finally spilling the beans and smoking a cigarette. He's not really eating beans or anything or spilling them, just smoking a cigarette. So anyway, he says, my daughter, Kiba, suffered from a terrible disease. And it looks like we have a flashback moment. Looks like we get a panel of the daughter, looks like him bedridden sick, and then looks like Amado had longer hair. All right, good for him. So we get this voiceover. It was an unknown cause. No drugs or cure was effective. It was a fatal illness that doctors had given up on. But I didn't rail against them because I'd already discovered a way to resolve the situation. And then dun, looks like we're still on a panel with a longer-haired Amado there. So then we still have a flashback. Looks like this is a container. Oh, it looks like it's exactly like the container where Orochimaru was cloning Mitsuki. Holy mofo. So in the voiceover, we have, I'd make her a new body by cloning. I didn't care about the ethics anymore. It seemed logical to give her a totally new shell rather than fix up a defective model. Rather than fix up a defective product. After all, this was a field that I had long tinkered in. The bar was significantly easier to clear than developing new meds. And then we are at page 23. Ikiba died a short time later. Yet I wasn't sad, at least not at that point. I plugged away in a race against time. I preserved Ikiba's brain and succeeded in extracting, digitizing, and creating a backup of her memories. About 9 months after my daughter's death, she was abruptly completed. She had Ikiba's voice, her exact appearance, plus her memories. But that was a total stranger. Now we have a single panel of Delta on page 24. Okay, finally. For those of you who theorized that Delta was Amado's daughter, you hit it right on the nail. All right, and oh, she is looking quite fine there in that, I guess, a towel or maybe dress, whatever. Anyway, she's looking good. So, page 25 now, we have Amado in his own panel with the extreme close-up of his eyes. And the voiceover continues of his narration. She definitely retained Ikiba's memories in full, yet she wasn't Ikibia. It wasn't just her personality, her humanity. It's difficult to explain, but it seemed a human's consciousness is more than just a aggregation of memories, or aggregation of memories. I kept remarking her, but each time she was someone other than Akibia. Even if I could create a new person, it just was not possible to reproduce one who existed before. I realized that this was the domain of the gods, a world that humans were not meant to step into. And now we're at page 26, and it looks like there's some frustration, maybe just a realization from Amado. He says in narration, and it finally hit me that my daughter no longer existed. And then Amado's just on his knees, and then just wondering, pondering, and then he finally responds with, "That's when he appeared," and we got Jigen just staring like really creepily. And then Jigen we get a close-up of Jigen, and then we have more voiceovers. So he says, he appeared, he said he'd reunite me with her if I assisted him. And then we cut back to Naruto, and he responds with, and that was Jigen, as in Ōtsutsuki Ishiki, huh? And then Amado says when his objectives were achieved, he'd reward me by reviving my daughter. That was the deal. I aligned with Kara as a last hope, not knowing that his goal, the chakra fruit, would come at the cost of this planet's life. Then Shikamaru, he intercuts and says, fulfill Kara's mission and get your daughter back, but the planet would die. What an unattainable decision. And we cut to Boruto just listening in, and then Naruto says, so you gave your daughter up and decided to take Ishiki down. Amado said, I was prepared to do anything for her, but what's the point if there's no planet to live on? And Amado says, and by the way, we're on page 29, Amado says, don't get me wrong, though. I haven't given up on my daughter at all. And we have an extreme close-up of Naruto with his eyes. And then we have more narration with, looks like a flashback of Jigen. So Amado explains, Jigen never specified how he was planning to revive my daughter. It's even possible he may not have ever intended to do so. But as I worked towards taking him down, I discerned the mechanism of karmic resurrection. Then we cut to a panel of the karma mark. And then we have a skinny panel of Kawaki. He's just listening in, and then Amado explains further. It's what Ishiki was trying to do through vessels. My attempt to reproduce Ikiba using a clone was almost identical. Then we cut to a panel with Amado that says, my failed efforts at reproducing personality, which crossed into the domain of the gods, was possible only with the miracle of godly power, the Shinjitsu karma. And then we cut to the class rep, and then she replies, now I get it, what Mr. Amado was planning to use Kawaki's karma for. And then we see Delta just on her knees, just asleep, and then Sarada just turns around, really attentive. And so we're at page 31. Amado replies, I added Akiba's data to Kawaki's reconstructed karma. All Kawaki has to do is implant karma into a new clone body that I'll prepare. That should be enough to revive Ikibia. And then Naruto just stares. Boruto is listening. And then Boruto says, I totally thought Mr. Amado was planning something a lot worse. Then Kawaki just has this skeptical face, his Kawaki glare with one eye there. And then, with Shikamaru, he says, Eida, looking at Amado, and then Eida does reply and says, yes, Shika dear. And so Shikamaru, he replies with, I can't trust Amado's tale, including whether he even really had a daughter or not. I want proof. Can you check with your Shinragan? And then Amado says, how dare you? And then I guess we have Naruto just cutting in, hey Shikamaru, don't you think that's a bit much? And then Shikamaru says, I'm just making sure, don't take offense, Amado. This is my job. Then Amado he goes silent. And then, looks like Eida replies with, You've quite an awful personality, Shika dear. And then looks like there's a chuckle sound. But I kind of like it. And so Shikamaru says, good to hear. Now, if you would. And then Boruto says, whoa, that's harsh, Shikamaru. Uncle Shikamaru. And then looks like, is this Momoshiki's voice? Okay, so I see like a voiceover or almost a voice that's directly communicating with Boruto. He says, hey boy, react if you can hear me. And then, I was wondering why your petty thoughts were suddenly available to me, but this confirms it. And then Boruto just says in his head, Momoshiki? And then Boruto says, hey, what's going on? And then Momoshiki says, a new effect that apparently arose from having supplemented some of your damaged flesh with my data, it seems our thoughts are crossing over. And then Boruto says, this isn't a mind transfer jutsu. It's Momoshiki's thoughts. Are you echoing inside my head? Then Momoshiki says, it's grating, but never mind. Just don't let Kawaki catch on. I'd rather not tangle with him again. And then Boruto does kind of glare at Kawaki for a moment, and then looks like Momoshiki has something to say here, so he says, about what Amado just said. There's something off about it. And then Boruto says, you distrust him too? Just like Shikamaru? Then again, that Shibuya, it was sounding real shady to me, that whole part about the gods. And then Momoshiki says, sorry, but the Shibuya part is true. He was an Ōtsutsuki, who, as Amado correctly guessed, is no longer in this dimension. And then Boruto says in his mind, what, for real? And then Boruto looks like he's listening on to what Momoshiki is saying and says, the same with Shinjitsu. I too have observed this plane a long time, and I have an intimate understanding of the extant Shinjitsu. And then we have more of Boruto that says, then you're saying he's lying about his daughter? And then Momoshiki replies, who knows? I have no knowledge of that. And then looks like he says, it is Eida's ability that is bothering me. And then Boruto says, huh? And then Momoshiki replies, Amado asserted that Eida's abilities are Shinjitsu, and her Shinragan is certainly so. However, that love charm power cannot be. And then Boruto says, so what of it? Momoshiki replies with, as I said just now, I know all Shinjitsu, but I have never heard of such an ability. In short, it's possible that Amado is lying. And then Boruto says, what are you saying? That it's a type of scientific ninja tool or something? Plus, why would he need to lie about that? And then, at this point, we're at page 37, Momoshiki says, indeed, that is what raises the question. And then we see Eida just looking with her crescent moon eye. And then Eida says, it was only a quick peek, but Amado's daughter, Sanzu Ikibia, did exist. She died when she was 24. And then Eida says, at the very least, those events he told us about were all true. Happy now? And Shikamaru says, thank you, Eida. I appreciate your help. And then Amado says, hey now, that's it? You question my honesty and have nothing else to say? Wow, so entitled, Amado. And so Shikamaru says, when we're on page 38, I'm just doing my job. The reason for my distrust lies with you. Don't pretend you're innocent while criticizing others. And that really just shuts up Amado right there. He just glares back. And then looks like we have more dialogue between Boruto and Momoshiki. And so Boruto says, what about our situation? How long will we be linked? And Momoshiki says, it's not as if I want to be doing this either. Our thoughts are leaking to each other's against our wills. And Boruto says, that's easy for you to say. You better not be trying to trick me. Momoshiki says, bow away. I, for one, hope it will be brief. And then Boruto says, you know. And he has his own little stare glare here. And then looks like... okay, so this is interesting. So we have the panel of Boruto and his eye. Is that Momoshiki's eye? Is that like the Byakugan? Okay, so then we cut through. Looks like we're at the Stone Face Mountains. And then we cut to, looks like, let's see, I'm trying to see who this is on the panel. Looks like another ninja, and then looks like we see dialogue that says, you find him? He couldn't have gotten that far yet. Don't let him escape. And then looks like Boruto, I'm not sure if this is like a flashback or something, but let's see here. So we have Shikadai. He says, you! That just ain't what a friend does. You hear? Oh my freaking lord. Oh wow. Is he predicting the future? Holy crap. No freaking way. So we get to page 40. And then, ooh, this is so good. Oh my freaking lord. You really need to see this. So we get... Sorry, that says, Mitsuki, found him over here. And then, looks like Mitsuki is in his sage mode, and he says, you have managed to truly anger me. And then Kawaki is just a freaking beast here. Like, oh my freaking lord, his arm is that mutated Ōtsutsuki arm with the horn, and then the karma marking. Holy moly. And then we get the final panel here, and Boruto, he just stares in horror. He says, what was that? Momoshiki just has no words. And then Boruto is just in his own little headspace, and then Eida just notices. She just stares, and then we have to be continued. And now it's chapter 75. Oh my freaking lord. That was a good chapter. It finally explains so many things, and yes, Delta was supposed to be a clone of Amado's daughter. My freaking lord, what a great chapter. Phenomenal. Well, if you agree that this was a phenomenal chapter, make sure you post your comments down below. And until next time and next chapter, Same Handsome King content, same Nerdy Bear reactions. And commentary. Oh yeah!